Now, some in the establishment press, as well as Democrats, are continuing their smear campaign against Bernie Sanders, in spite of evidence that Sanders is and will continue to be the most popular politician among Democratic voters as well as independent voters. Now, you have people out there like Neera Tanden, Joy-Ann Reid, that of course are continuing to smear Bernie Sanders and his supporters as lazy, sexist moochers who are just doing nothing but trying to divide the Democratic Party in order to help Donald Trump win, which is insane because the whole reason that we supported Bernie is because he's the only one who could actually beat Donald Trump in the Democratic Party. So that whole narrative makes zero sense. Now, in doing so, they, of course, continued to peddle the long-debunked Bernie bro narrative, which, of course, states plainly that all Bernie Sanders supporters are angry, sexist white men, people who look like us, essentially. We're to be surprised, we're not actually representative of most Bernie Sanders supporters. Strangely enough. Yeah, I know, right? Mm-hmm. Me and my whiteness, no. Turns out, not all Bernie Sanders supporters look like us. It's crazy, isn't it? Now,
I've seen those statistics too, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's actually, a lot of them are young. There's that going on. But actually, I mean, there's statistics out there that his lowest support group is white men.
Actually, this is that story. So let me show you. Let me show you the results of a new survey conducted by Harvard University and the Harris Poll. It's actually not quite a new survey, but it was conducted among 2,027 registered voters between April 14th and April 17th. Now, in that, it found that Bernie Sanders is actually more popular among women, African Americans, Hispanic, and Asian Americans than white people, and specifically white men. Oops. I have a graphic for you that I want to put up. So there's the results. You might have been seeing this floating around social media. Now, the poll shows that, of course, 55% of men and 52% of whites approve of Bernie Sanders. However, Sanders is approved by 73% of African Americans, 68% of Hispanics, 62% of Asian Americans, and 58% of women. And even though Sanders identifies as an independent, over 80% of Democrats approve of him. Oops. Hey, somebody show this to Joy-Ann Reid. She's going to need it. Look, by smearing Bernie Sanders and progressives and his followers, you are literally shitting on 80% of your own base. Oops. Mm-hmm. That's not very smart. And look, out of those 80%, maybe they wouldn't have all voted for Bernie Sanders, of course, had the primaries been fair in the first place, and had the DNC treated both candidates the same, like they're obligated to do so within their own rules. Now, maybe they like him, but think, okay, but your ideas might not work, but they still like him, and all that stuff. But here you have the establishment media and a lot of mainline Democrats smearing him as a sexist or a hypocrite, or because, well, like the hypocrite thing, right? One of the things that they tried to get him on, and I think this is where one of the Joy-Ann Reid smears was, oh, he made money off his book. He's in the 1% now. Mm-hmm. Wait. So he made money off a book by selling a book that people actually wanted to read. Oh my God. Hypocrite. He's not actually supposed to sell anything. No, he's not somebody who doesn't believe in capitalism. His brand of, social democracy, democratic socialism, is the prescription to save capitalism from itself, from its worst excesses. But again, they try to, smear him as a hypocrite for making money off his book that people actually wanted to buy and read. In fact, I'm in the middle of reading it right now. But Joy-Ann Reid, though.
Well, I wanted to go on the Joy-Ann Reid thing, too. I love
She's the worst.
Her. I got the biggest kick out of her. Did you see her apartment analogy? Or
I
her
did.
Roommate
I covered that.
All right, so let's touch on that. So she said that Bernie is like the roommate that moves in, and then doesn't pay rent, but wants you to do everything he wants, right? Like that was the gist of it, right? Am I getting that right? She went on this Twitter rampage
Yeah, it
about
was
that's
something
what-
like Bernie Sanders is the guy that moves in, he eats your food, he trashes your decor, and then pays no rent. Something like that.
Which
So lazy
was the
moocher who hates your
biggest
aesthetic.
bullshit. And first of all, that was something the right wing would do. First of all, the right loves to paint all progressives as lazy and wanting a handout. So she was pandering to that bullshit. First of all.
Well, do you
second of all,
know
her analogy was just awful. Like, that analogy made no logical sense
Right.
whatsoever. Here's an analogy that does make sense, and I can use myself as an example here. So I had a roommate that just moved in recently, and he's a really cool guy. He manages a restaurant, and my roommate happened to fall upon this really cool situation where he got a ton of furniture and really cool stuff for a packaged price from friends of his. So that's all his stuff now, but it all enriches our house a lot. So he moved in, and he made our house a million times better with a TV, with porch furniture, with tables out in our backyard now, with a hammock. We got a freaking hammock, Jeff. I'm not a rich man,
Lazy
but I
millennial.
got a hammock now in Los Angeles. And my new roommate, made all of this possible. Similar to Bernie, made it possible for a lot of young people to actually be motivated by the idea of the Democrats again, to actually, want to participate in politics. He has this powerful email list that they really want. He's doing outreach for them. He campaigned for Clinton.
Unity tour.
Compromise after compromise. He did the fucking Unity tour. Compromise after compromise. That this guy, and here's the biggest thing. He handed them a platform that could win. He handed them a winning platform. All they need to do is say, hey, 80% of our base wants this. We're taking it. That's all they have to fucking do. They're not doing it because their donors don't want that. But that's all they have to fucking do. Bernie, in this situation, is my roommate to my house. And me, if I was the Democratic establishment, you know what I would do to my roommate? I'd be like, hey, thanks for making this house so much better. By the way, you don't get to use the couch. You don't get to use your bedroom. Here's a little fucking cot that I built out of string. You have to sleep there because fuck you. That's why. So there's my counter.
Why are you being so disharmonious,
bullshit
Ron?
Comparison. Huh?
Why are you being so disharmonious?
Shut the fuck up and unite, Jeff.
Unity. We need unity.
That's what I said to my roommate. That's like, yeah, sleep in the corner, you fucker, and tell all your friends that that's where they have to go too if they ever come over. And shut the fuck up and unite and pay rent. That's a better comparison than Joy-Ann Reid's bullshit comparison that has a basis in nothing and is something you'd expect from a right-winger, not a supposed progressive personality.
But here's the thing, though. Speaking of pandering, right? That whole thing was pandering. You said to right-wing ideas. Well, who do you think the Democratic Party is trying to court? They're going after Romney voters.
And it worked out great for them. It worked out.
It worked out wonderfully. When they all voted for Trump, it worked out great. That's who they're pandering to. That's who the Democratic Party is trying to actively court going into 2018. It's as if they have no idea what their base stands for. They have no idea who the people who vote for them actually want. And look, I guess you could be confused if you're on Twitter. Like 80% of Democrats, Democratic voters, approve of Bernie Sanders. It's like the Democrats only see the 20% of really angry people on Twitter. And they think that's our base. It's insanity.
Yeah.
This is why the Democrats lose. And it's, Joy-Ann Reid, it's now Peter Dow, all those people, okay? And these are the people that are in the soon-to-be irrelevant category when it comes to the Democratic Party. And it's because, again, they would rather, as a party and as personalities, lose to Donald Trump than to ever have a progressive win.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, this is the theme we've been revisiting time and time again. And then you find out that it's not all, it's not just a bunch of white guys that like Bernie Sanders. It's a lot of different people. And
look at all those different people.
Rightfully so. The guy, there it is. There it is. Men is where he's actually not doing so great. White people is where he's not. Oh, Democrats, 80%. Asian Americans, 62%. Hispanic, 68%. African Americans, 73%. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that this guy was active in the civil rights movement. That well, I don't know what Hillary Clinton was doing then. She wasn't. I don't think she was active in the civil. Not to my knowledge, anyway.
Goldwater girl.
On that, but not to my knowledge. Bernie Sanders sure as fuck was, and there's that famous meme of him being dragged away, being chained to a black person, being dragged away by cops. They attempted to use it to smear him. It backfired, had the opposite effect, because they were like, oh, look at this good for nothing going to jail. Yeah, he was protesting for civil rights, you fuck. He was protesting for civil rights, you idiot. And it was the right that tried to do that, not the left. But nonetheless, a smear that failed miserably. A smear that totally failed miserably. And when Black Lives Mattered interrupt Bernie, he said, you know what? They have the right to be heard right now. Let's hear them out. And he let them speak. When a Black Lives Matter person came on a Hillary Clinton speech, which had a lot less people at it, by the way. There were a lot less fucking people there.
There were a lot less.
They were told to shut up. They were told to shut up and get out. Just like in Sacramento, a bunch of nurses that want single-payer health care were told to shut the fuck up and get out by the Democratic establishment.
By the way, the nurses are awesome.
You know, the nurses what?
They're awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
they're fucking awesome. So I love the nurses. Now, who doesn't love the nurses other than, of course, Democratic establishment hacks?
Right.
But... yeah, look.
Those selfish nurses.
Yeah, I know. Wanting
dedicating
health care for everyone.
to helping sick people, wanting them all to get care.
How dare they?
Selfish. Selfish.
You know, they're just that roommate, you know, that comes in and just trashes your aesthetic.
I can't wait to set him up a cot in the corner and tell him to go fuck himself. I'm gonna do that when he gets home.
That's right.
Like, I'm gonna eat all his food, and then be like, by the way, I want rent twice a month. Fuck you, because fuck you, that's why. Give me your email list.
We also have Tom Perez. Great example of the whole Bernie bro thing, right? A guy that spread this during the campaign. You know, in order to win the Nevada caucus. Now, the Democrats had a chance to change the direction of the DNC. They didn't. They ended up picking this guy who said that, oh, we can paint Bernie Sanders as the candidate for white men. So let's just whitewash everyone else with African Americans, Latinos, and Asian Americans. Let's just whitewash all those people to try to paint this narrative that Bernie Sanders is just not good for African Americans or not good with all these other these groups. We're going to play identity politics to the greatest degree so we can make sure that Hillary Clinton gets crushed by Donald Trump. Again, let's talk about the Pied Piper strategy. That's exactly what they did. Let's raise up Donald Trump so we could have an easier time beating him. Oops! Oh, that didn't work out, did it? No, that worked out actually pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, and Perez is doing a bang-up job. I mean, Perez is seeing just how unpopular Bernie is firsthand at that Unity tour, where he needed to just hype up Bernie Sanders because no one wanted to hear him talk. People would boo him. No one even wanted to hear him talk. He had no business being there. And he would just hype up Bernie Sanders because that's who everybody gave a shit about. Yeah. Nobody wanted to hear that corporate tool say a word.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And yet, you know, people like, I mean, Daily Kos founder Marcos Melitsos, right? You know, he talked about, let's see, he talked to Ryan Grimm from the Huffington Post, right? And of course, in a recent interview, he's like, yeah, we're Bernie Sanders, guys, overly white, overwhelmingly white and male. He said, we remain steadfastly focused on the bigger picture, the Democratic Party picture. Again, less sexy, less excitement, but Clinton wasn't Joe Lieberman, and she was running on the most liberal platform in party history. Was she? Really? Seriously?
They love that argument. She kind of adopted some of Bernie's platform. Yeah, she did kind of do that in verbiage, in words. But then what did she actually run on? Universal health care will never come to pass.
Nope.
I don't support the fight for 15.
We like fracking.
Foreign policy, forget it. She's known for being hawkish. She's unapologetic about it, despite being wrong about Iraq. She had no plans of her own. Did she come out against fracking? No, she didn't. She promotes it around the world.
Exactly.
Well, that's the most progressive platform in history? No, Obama's platform was more progressive than that.
Look, if that's
So
your...
yeah, she adopted some of his platform, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Kicking and screaming, and in words alone. But in practice, not at all, and nobody bought it. People saw through it.
Look, if that's your standard of liberal, what she ran on, well then, I don't think anybody understands what liberalism is actually supposed to be, what being a progressive actually is. Now, Milica said, we saw little reason to further divide our party when asked why his site didn't endorse Bernie Sanders despite 60% of its users supporting Bernie Sanders over Clinton. He said, not to mention, given the decidedly white complexion of the Sanders coalition, it made little sense to hitch our wagon to a person who had such difficulties attracting the party's key growth demographics. Latinos, African Americans, and women. In other words, we were focused on the future. 72% of African Americans, 60% or 68% of Hispanic voters, 62% of Asian Americans, all those people would have voted for Bernie Sanders. And in addition, of course, to some of the working class Trump supporters, instead of, because most of the Trump voters were not white working class people. They were actually middle class former Romney voters. So who, they tried to court for Hillary Clinton. So again, you don't blame this on the white working class. This was all about, the Democratic Party hitching your wagons to try to get the, suburban white soccer mom vote that normally votes for Republican candidates. And guess what? They voted for Republicans this time in Donald Trump. So, look.
Yeah, it was a very failed strategy.
Very failed. So, no, but hey, Democratic Party, keep trying to unsuccessfully smear the most popular politician in America, whose policies are not only common sense, but of course, increasingly popular, in order to just, go and serve your donors and serve the establishment. While us progressives, well, we're going to work to expand opportunity and hope in this country. And for actually, in order to get us to a better, more progressive future, for everybody.
What political party has the two most popular politicians in the country in it? And I know Bernie is technically
an independent.
He's registered as an independent, but he campaigns with the Democrats. He caucuses with them. He's doing outreach for them.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what's next to his fucking name. Shut the fuck up.
Just shut up and take the gift that we have given you in the form of Bernie Sanders. I mean, what is so hard to accept that? Hey, you know what? If we should accept Bernie Sanders and all the supporters and adopt these progressive policies that are going to be helpful to the economy and to the country and to everybody, and it's gonna increase our party's viability into the future. And it's going to help us win elections all over the country, and we'll be in more positions of power. Isn't that a good thing? No, instead we're going to go and we're going to take the, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take all these suggestions. We're going to take what Bernie Sanders gave and went, that's nice. Yeah, gone. Throw it in the toilet. Throw it in the trash. Because we don't care about winning. We would rather have somebody like Donald Trump win a second term than actually elect a progressive to run this country, because we know that if we do that, our free ride is over. Our gravy train ends.
It's as simple as this, Jeff. What political party has the two most popular politicians in the country involved with it, more so than any other party, and is still wiped out at every level?
Yeah.
One that needs grossly reformed.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.